Alright, so you've got a tape, and you want to resize it to a given length for whatever reason. Maybe you have a tape label and use recycled cassettes for your releases, or you just want to make mixtapes with each side of the tape matched to a particular length or something. Well, regardless, here's how you do it. So, for this project you'll need a splicing block. I think that kind of goes without saying. I 3D printed mine. They're pretty easy to make. You're going to need some tape. Splicing tape is preferable, but you can get away with Scotch tape. And you're going to need a small set of scissors, and optionally an awl or something to actually burnish the tape with. First you get your tape queued to the end, and for this example I'm using a 4 lunar dust tape that I dubbed from the master. I've wound it to the end of side A, and I'll flip it over and dub side B once it's spliced. Next, pull the tape out of its shell slightly, just enough to cut it and separate the two reels. It goes without saying that the larger reel contains side A of the tape, the smaller reel contains excess tape that we're going to cut off. After separating the two internal reels, grab the tape that goes to the smaller reel and pull it totally out of the cartridge. Cut this tape off and separate it from the leader. Leader is the clear section of the tape in this image. Sometimes it'll be blue, sometimes it will be red. Sometimes your tape won't even have a leader. If that's the case, then just leave a few inches of the tape to serve as leader. So at this, you're going to get a splicing block and slide the leader and tape from the larger reel onto it. Make sure that the two sides are both facing the proper way and touching smoothly. You want the leader to press right against the tape. You can use the guides on the splicing block and a razor blade to cut the splice at a certain angle if you're unhappy with how the two ends meet. If you look at the splicing block, like on the side, you'll see like little rails to feed a razor blade in. You know what I'm talking about. So push both ends into the block. You can use a tool like an awl or a pencil/pen to do this. After this, cut a small section of your splicing tape off. I use 1/8 inch audio grade splicing tape from eBay. Last time I looked it was pretty cheap, and a whole roll will last you a long time. I've never gone through a whole roll and I've had it years. I'm going to catch flack for saying this, but you can use Scotch tape to splice tapes too. I did this for years as a kid. Your splice won't last as long, and you have to cut away excess tape, but it's valid if you're just trying to archive a broken tape or something. If you're curious as to what size of tape to use, just look at the leader you cut earlier. It's not super important, but the splice shouldn't be too long or short. Put your splicing tape on the end of an object. I use scissors or an awl, and push it down onto where the two sides of the tape meet in the block. Then take the edge of your object, I'm using scissors here, and burnish the tape. You'll notice the color of the splice will change from white to sort of a more opaque color. And if you're not sure what I'm saying when I'm saying to burnish it, I just mean to take a flat, like blunt edge of an object and run it over where the splice meets between the two edges of the tape. This will cause the adhesive from the splice to push down into where the tape meets with the leader, and that's what causes that opaque color that I just talked about. Do this for a few seconds until the splice looks close to totally opaque. Next, take your fingers and gently lift the tape out of the splice block. Start on one side of the tape and gently lift until the splice section is totally out of the block. Then lift the other side out. This minimizes the chances of the edge of the block somehow catching the splice and damaging it or scraping it. Now finally test the splice. I do this by kind of taking my hands and gently trying to pull the area apart. See if it's sturdy enough to withstand this, and if it is, then you should be good to go. Lay your tape out flat on a table, take some scissors, wind a spool on the cartridge, and Bob's your uncle. Your tape should now be the right length. You can verify this with a listen.